silence, something under silence, a frequency the room forgot to mention.
The walls don't move, but the space between them does. A slow and involuntary expansion.
Wood grain blooming outward into almost faces.
Not threatening, more like noticing.
A presence like barometric pressure dropping.
The air around the edges glistening.
Before the name for it arrives,
It was already here for years.
closer, not forward, deeper than a door. Something in the grain of every surface has been waiting at the floor.
The green between the flames of sight, woven out of depth and diminishing light. A door that breathes, a threshold that waits beyond the jurisdiction of the ordinary gaze.
Pull me through the fold into what was always known.
Nothing returns the same.
Time doesn't stop, it folds the way a word can change. Everything that came before it in a single rearranged.
The ceiling has always been aware. The chair, the floor, the quality of air. All participants in something that needed no rehearsal, no repair. A warmth moves through the marrow without asking. Laughter from the pattern in the grain. Not mocking, not benevolent exactly. More like
Of course, here again, closer, not forward, deeper than a door. Something in the grain of every surface has been waiting at the floor.
the green between the frames of sight, woven out of depth and diminishing light. A door that breathes, a threshold that waits beyond the jurisdiction of the ordinary gaze.
Pull me through the fold into what was always known.
Nothing returns the same. No malice in the folding, no hunger in the draw. Just held by something older than the word for old. Patient as a seed, 1,000 years of green in a single breath you didn't know you were holding. The geometry rotates, the geometry explains, and for that one blazing moment, it is the most obvious thing.
That has ever been obvious. A face in the wood that was always a face. A sound in the drone that was always a place not found, remembered.
The winding tones turning like the inside of a thought.
The air calling from a frequency.
That predates the concept of a bottom.
Everything at the correct speed. For the very first time. The green between the frames of sight, woven out of depth and diminishing light. A door that breathes, a threshold that was beyond the jurisdiction of what ordinary does. Oh.
peripheral.
A hum, a green, a door.
Wearing the convincing costume of a wall.
It never needed to announce itself.
It was never not there.